Hello, and welcome to the second House of Dice Warmachine Battle Report. Today I'm joined by Kevin, who is playing Khador, and I'll be playing Menoth. We are playing a 10-point game with no scenario, so with that, let's see the lists. Menoth is led by High Exemplar Krios, and in his battle group is a Castigator and a Vanquisher. A minimum unit of Exemplar Incinerators rounds out the rest of the list. Vladimir Typezi, the Dark Prince of Umbre, is leading the forces of Khador. He has a Destroyer and a Juggernaut in his battle group. A minimum unit of Man-O-War Shock Troopers finishes up his list. Krios deploys in the middle of the board, with the Incinerators a few steps ahead of him. The Vanquisher takes the right flank, and the Castigator on the left. Vlad deploys the Juggernaut to his right, Destroyer to his left. The Man-O-War Shock Troopers deploy to the left flank. Both Warjacks gain a focus due to power up, and Krios holds onto all of his focus. Krios activates and spends 3 focus to cast Defender's Ward onto the Incinerators, increasing their defense and armor. He then spends 3 focus to cast Lamentation on himself, causing any spells in his control range to cost double. Krios then advances up 5 inches. The Castigator spends a focus to run up towards the house. The Vanquisher runs for 1 focus. The Incinerators run up ahead of Krios. Both the Destroyer and Juggernaut receive a focus due to power up. Vlad keeps all 7 focus on himself. The Shock Troopers run 8 inches up the left side of the board. The Juggernaut spends a focus and runs 8 inches beside the building. The Destroyer spends a focus to run as well. Vlad spends 4 focus to cast Blood of Kings on himself, to boost his speed, strength, mat, defense, and armor. He then casts Wind Wall for 3 focus to protect himself from ranged attacks. He then advances up 8 inches behind the Man-O-Wars. Krios spends 2 focus to upkeep Defender's Ward in Lamentation. He then gives the Vanquisher 1 focus. The Castigator spends a focus to run up behind the house and gets into cover. The Vanquisher advances up 4 inches and takes a shot at the Shock Troopers. The attack is out of range and misses, but the attack deviates 6 inches in the 2 direction. The blast damage is dice minus 10. He boosts the attack, but rolls a 6 and does no damage, but sets the Man-O-War on fire. Incinerators run up 8 inches to the middle of the board. Krios joins them, getting Vlad into Lamentation range. The Shock Trooper checks to see if the fire goes out. He fails and takes a POW 12 fire attack. The damage is dice minus 5, but the fire does no damage. Vlad allocates 1 focus to the Destroyer and 2 to the Juggernaut. The Destroyer activates and forfeits its movement to aim and shoots its Bombard Cannon at Incinerator. The Exemplar has Defender's Ward and the Destroyer uses a focus to boost, needing a 7 to hit. He rolls a 9 and the attack hits. Damage is dice minus 5 and he spends his 2nd focus to boost the attack. He rolls a 5 and the attack does no damage. The blast hits another Incinerator at dice minus 12. He rolls an 11 and doesn't damage the Exemplar. The Shock Troopers advance up 4 inches and use their shield wall, giving them a boost to their armor. Vlad activates and advances 6 inches up towards the bushes. He turns and casts Boundless Charge onto the Juggernaut. Because of Lamentation, this costs 4 focus. Vlad then casts his feat, Forced March. doubling the speed of all warjacks in Vlad's battle group, and they can run, charge, and make power attacks for free. The Juggernaut, under the effects of Boundless Charge and Force March, charges the Incinerator. He needs a 6 to hit. He rolls an 8, and the charge connects. The Incinerator is armor 19 due to Defender's Ward, and the attack is straight dice. The Juggernaut does 10 damage and kills the Incinerator, triggering the unit's Vengeance ability. The Exemplars make their Vengeance move and attack the Juggernaut, needing a 3 to hit. And the attack connects. Damage is dice minus 8. He rolls an 11 and does 3 points of damage to column 1. The second Incinerator rolls a 6 and hits the Warjack, but rolls an 8 and does no damage. Krios spends 2 focus to upkeep Defender's Ward and Lamentation. He gives 2 focus to the Castigator and 1 focus to the Vanquisher. The Castigator activates and charges the Juggernaut for 1 focus. He needs a 4 to hit, and the charge connects. The damage is dice minus 4. He rolls a 16 and does 12 damage to column 5 of the Khador and Warjack. The attack sets him on fire. The Castigator swings with his left fist. He rolls a 6 and the attack hits. He rolls a 5 for damage and does 1 point of damage to the Juggernaut. He buys another attack, needing a 4 to hit. The punch hits. He boosts damage at dice minus 4. He rolls a 13 and does 9 damage to column 5 of the Jack. Krios moves up behind the Incinerators to attack the Juggernaut. He needs a 3 to hit, and just makes it with a 4. He boosts damage at dice minus 6. He rolls a 14, doing 8 damage to the heavy Warjack, leaving it with just 1 hitbox left. Krios buys another attack to finish off the Warjack. The attack hits, and he rolls for damage. He rolls a 9 and destroys the Juggernaut. The Incinerators run up to block line of sight to Krios from Vlad. The Vanquisher stands still and takes aim at the Shock Trooper. He boosts the attack, needing a 5 to hit. He rolls a 13, and the attack hits the Man-O-War. The Shock Troopers are in shield wall, bringing the defense up to 21. He boosts the shot at dice minus 7 for damage. He rolls a 10 and does 3 damage to the Man-O-War. The other 2 troopers are hit by blast damage, but neither of them take any damage. The Shock Troopers check to see if their fire goes out. The first fails and takes a POW 12, but no damage. The second also fails and takes no damage. The third fails as well, but the fire does no damage. Vlad gives the destroyer 2 focus and keeps 5 on himself. Vlad activates and charges the Incinerator. He needs a 6 to hit the Incinerator under Defender's Ward. He rolls an 11 and the attack hits. The charge attack is dice minus 6. He rolls a 6 and does no damage to the Exemplar. He swings with his dagger, rolling a 12. Damage is dice minus 10. He rolls an 8 and fails to pierce the Menite's armor. He buys an attack with his sword. The attack hits, and he boosts damage at dice minus 6. He rolls a 16, doing 10 damage to the Incinerator, and killing him. He buys an attack on the last remaining Exemplar, and hits with an 11. He boosts damage and rolls a 10, dealing 4 damage to the Incinerator, leaving him at 1 health. The Destroyer charges the wounded Incinerator. He needs a 6 to hit, and makes it. The damage is dice minus 2, and the Exemplar is killed. The shock troopers see an opening and give a press forward order. The one shock trooper is in range to charge Krios. He needs a 7 to hit. And he makes it. The damage is dice -2. He rolls a 15 and does 13 damage to the Warcaster, failing to kill him. Krios drops Lamentation, then gives the Castigator 2 focus and the Vanquisher 2 focus, leaving himself with 3. The Vanquisher advances up to the shock troopers and attacks the one engaging Krios. He needs a 4 to hit and boosts. He rolls a 5 and just makes it. He boosts damage at dice -1 and rolls a 13, killing the shock trooper. He buys a second attack against the other Man-O-War, but rolls a 3 and misses. Krios uses his feat Menoth's Wrath, knocking everything down in his control range. The remaining Khadorans are all knocked down. Krios charges the enemy Warcaster. The attack automatically hits due to him being knocked down. The attack is dice -2. He rolls a 9, doing 7 damage to Vlad. He buys another auto-hitting attack. He rolls damage and gets another 9, for 7 more damage on the Warcaster. He spends his last focus and buys 1 more attack. He rolls a 6, doing 4 damage and killing the caster, resulting in a Menoth victory.
The major deciding factors in this battle were Lamentation and Krios' feat for the assassination. Lamentation essentially shut down Vlad's most powerful abilities, Sign's Importance and Blood of Kings. They are both 4 focus spells, so once Vlad was in Lamentation range, he couldn't cast either of those abilities, crippling his army considerably. Krios' feat simply made sure that all attacks made on the assassination run hit. To protect himself in the next game, Kevin should try and anticipate the feat and either camp some focus to try and absorb the attacks, or try to keep Vlad in a bit more of a defensive position and try to eliminate any charge lanes. One thing we agreed on that I need to keep an eye out for is caster positioning. I left Krios quite open at the end of turn 3, which allowed a Man-O-War shock trooper to get into range and almost lead to an assassination. Luckily, only one was in range, or else that game would have ended quite differently. All in all, we both had a lot of fun. This was one of Kevin's first games of Warmachine. He's played some other tabletop games before, so he picked up the rules fairly quickly. If you guys have any advice for either of us, be sure to comment below. And if you like what you saw, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.